Hey guys, welcome to another Project Station Invasion video. This is video number 43. I'm going to start off by fixing a couple of graphical bugs that we encountered in the last video. The first being when we come to our crafting page and we click on an item. When you first click it, the background doesn't change colour, although it loads up the information. The second one being when you click craft item, the craft item paragraph block, the background of that colours as well. So I'm going to show you how to fix both of these. So we come into Dreamweaver, and if we go to our Jquery functions on the craft plugin PHP page, I have added an extra element, or an extra require variable to the functions, and simply named them ELE, which is short for element. And I'll show you what we'll do with them in a second. Now, if we go to where we're calling these functions, so along here, on the on click, we've got load required materials, and we're plugging in the ID of the material to load. After we put in the ID, we want to follow it up with a comma, and just have this. So that's the $, then in brackets the word this, and this will pass over to the function that we're targeting this element, and we'll use that to our advantage to fix those graphical bugs. I've also done the same on where we're returning the paragraph tags for these elements. So after we input the key, we also put this. Now if we come back over to our JavaScript, all we need to do is we remove the click event listener, and we can tab these back, and we want to change this, the word this here, into ELE, and our function now knows we're targeting a specific element that we've just clicked. And we'll also do the same down here, so we'll remove the event listener, back tab these, and change this into ELE. So when we save it and we come back over to our game, we go to the craft, we get the background change colour the first time we click it. And also when you go to craft item, the selected item there remains, and we don't get the annoying coloured background behind this button. So that's those quick fixes done. We're going to now go on to actually making the craft item button work. Okay, in order to start creating items, we need to do two things first. First thing we're going to do is create a table for the user's items, and the second thing we're going to do is we are going to create a function that gives users items, similar to the one we've got for giving materials. It just makes the process a little quicker. And I opened up Opera. Okay, so if we create a new table, and we'll just call this one user items, we're going to have 3 columns here. We're going to have the character ID, which is going to remain an integer, and an unsigned attribute. We're going to have the item ID, again an unsigned attribute, and the quantity, and again an unsigned integer. So we're going to save this, and we have our new table. Excuse me. We're going to keep things basic for a moment. We're not going to add any sort of stats onto these items. So this table will change depending how we're going to do things. I'll have to give it a bit of thought. But I want to introduce the element of upgrading items, which means an upgraded item will not be, can't be in the same place as a non-upgraded item. I'll have to we'll have to investigate that more when we come to it. So moving on, we want to open up our function.php page. And we're just going to copy the give materials function, and we'll just call this give item. The character ID, we want to keep. The material ID, we want to change, and we want to remove the material type. So we'll change the material ID to item ID. We're keeping the same connection, and we're going to insert into user items and set our character ID to the character ID, the item ID, I think that's what we called it, wasn't it? Yeah, character ID and item ID. And we'll get rid of the material type, and don't forget to remove the comma afterwards as well. I think we've just called this quantity, so we'll just remove that. Yeah, and what we also want to do is change this so it has a default as 1. So as soon as a new an item is inserted into the table, it automatically gains a quantity of 1. We also need to give this duplicate keys, and I can't remember what duplicate keys they were. Let's go to structure. Okay, so we want the character ID and the item ID to have unique values. So we're going to create an index on 2 columns. Column 1 is going to be the character ID, and column 2 is going to be the item ID. So we'll save that. So now we're ready to start giving items to our character. So now we're done with the function PHP page. We come over to our refine function PHP page, and we're going to just copy this else if and put it into the craft function. And we're going to change the mode to craft item. We can get rid of all of these. And I'm going to go through and just make sure that I get all this right, and then I'll come back and go through the code. Okay, so here is the script that will craft our item for us. Excuse me. The first thing we're doing is we're collecting the item ID that is going to be passed through our Ajax request, and we're storing it into a variable called item ID. We're then running a query, and we're selecting the item name and the material list from the item recipes, where the ID equals the item ID. If we're getting a result back, then we're storing the fetch data into the row variable, and we're then exploding our material list into the required items, like we did up here on the check requirement. We're then taking the complete item counts into another variable called mQuantity, similar to what we've done on the refine function, somewhere around here. Oh no, sorry, I called them. Oh no, we did. Well, we called this one quantities. We're then running a for each loop on the mQuantity as k and v, and we're doing a similar check here as to what we've done up here, whether we were going to whether we were going to apply text color to the item. And we're just checking to see to make sure we've got all of the items required. If we haven't, then we're setting our fail to true. After we've run this for each loop, if fail equals remains as false, then we're going through each of the required items, and we're taking them from our inventory. So take materials, the session character ID, the material name, and the material type, and then we're giving the item to. I think I've got these the wrong way around. As our function page. Character ID, then item ID. Is that what we've got? Something doesn't look right. Oh yes, that is right. Yeah, so we're giving our character ID the item ID that we fetched from at the beginning, and then we're echoing out that such and such name item has been crafted. If fail remains true, then we're echoing out item creation failed. It should never remain true, because we shouldn't ever get the button appear, but it's always best to put in these practices just to catch anyone trying to cheat the system. And again, if we don't get any rows back from our initial if test, then we're echoing out item creation failed. Again, this should never happen, but there is always that the chance of someone trying to break through and fluff things up for us all. So if we come back over to our craft plugin, and we're just going to, no, we don't even need to copy that, so we'll start a new function, and we will call this craft item, and this is going to have one parameter. And similar to our refine plugin, if we go all the way down, where is it? Our refine material, we're simply going to be posting this similar sort of data through. So we will send the Ajax request. Oops. Oh, flipping hell. type is going to be post. The URL is going to be the same plugin craft and the craft function PHP page. The data we are sending over is we'll go ID. Oops. The ID of the item, and we just want to make sure we're setting this to the right variable name, so it's actually item ID, and the mode. Oh, what am I doing? What's the mode called? Craft item. On the success, and we're going to grab the echoed message. We're just going to open notify and paste that message in our custom pop-up box that we've got. So we can save this. Now we can go back and test it. We just reload it. So if we go to armoring, and we go to positive. Oh no, we don't need to click one of them, do we? So we go to our armoring. Oh no, hold on, we can't do that yet. Duh. Because we need to take this craft item, and we go to the craft function, and where we're placing in the button, we need an on-click equals. We need to escape these, just to make sure we get this right. Craft item, and now we want the item ID that we're sending through. So on click, we're going to craft the item of item ID. So we saved that, and we'll go do that again. So if we come and inspect this element here, we should have. Oh, what a donut! Try putting the $sign in front of that, and we'll try that again. Inspect element, craft item number 1. Well, we can't check the others because obviously that we have no other items. So we have got 10 of these 3 items here, and 1 of these. What we're looking for is, providing that we can craft this item, these 3 here should reduce to 9. This should be removed, and we should also have an entry in this table. Those are the things we're looking out for. Those are the things we're keeping our fingers crossed for. So we go craft item. Don't tell me it's just affected everything. No. I think I know what's going on. We don't actually reference to the functions page. So let's save that. And we'll try again. Craft, armoring, craft item. Armoring has been crafted. So again, we're looking for that to be removed, the positive that one, and these 3 to be reduced. Also, if we come back over to armoring, this item here should be red, and this button should be removed. So we'll go to our database first and just see if our user item has appeared, which it hasn't. I don't like the look of this, so if we go back to craft, it's taken all of the items, but it's not entered an item in. So if we bear with me a second, so the error is that on the item ID we're trying to put in material ID. I'm hoping that's the error anyway. There should be no reason why this isn't working other than that. So if we come back over item recipes, so we want a 5. We need a 5 added. Oh. So just make sure that we haven't got 5 and raw. Go. Yep, 0. So we're going to insert 1, 5, want a raw, and we'll have 10 of them. So if we come back over to craft, you can see we've got 10 of these items now. So if we go to armoring, craft the item, armoring has been crafted. Come back and refresh the craft. You can see we've lost one of these items, and we've also lost one of these. And fingers crossed this time, user items, we have one item. One item of, the 1. So again, we'll just craft another, and another, and another. You can see all of our quantities have been reduced, and our user items, the quantity has gone up. So I'm going to leave the video here. In the next video, I'm not quite sure where we need to go with this at the moment. I think I don't know, I'll surprise you. I need to have a think about this one. But yes, until the next video, I'll see you then.